Hello, my name's RBG and we are back with tonight's stream. We are with the ZFS GT3 Championship. We're into the final round. It's all to play for, and I'm joined again by the beautiful Alistair. Alistair, how you doing, mate? All good?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Missed the last week, so I'm very excited to be back and to finish off the championships like we started.
Yes, as God intended, I assume. Today, shall we have a little look at what we're doing today, Al?
Oh, that always helps me out, just to know what I'm doing.
So today we have practice session currently going on, then we're going into quali for 10 minutes, then we've got a 15-minute race, and then we've got a 15-lap race, which should take about half an hour. So usual format. Al just see us out in the season. We've been sort of following the same format with slightly different tweaks and stuff to the fuel and tyre settings each week. So a new challenge put in front of our drivers today is probably going to be testing both of their fuel and tyre wear, see what they're like. And that's what we're looking like. Oh, actually, I've just realised that actually says round 3. Doesn't say round 4. Does it? I was sitting there going, I'm sure they're not the correct fuel and tyre settings. Give me just a moment. For some reason, the thing has decided to show the incorrect picture. So we're off to a flying start, Al, as ever.
I mean, it's not a race without some technical difficulties. I mean, you watch any Formula One and they're changing graphics halfway through.
This is it.
It's how it goes. This is as professional as you'll ever see.
There we go. That's better. It's a 23-lap race with 7 and 10 on fuel and tyres. So that's what we're looking like for today. And let's have a quick look at the standings as they stand. I think that's a good way of saying that. I think it's a really strong way.
I mean, it's the perfect way. The best English way is to repeat as many words as possible.
So what we're going to do is we are not going to look at the standings. Apparently everything I prepped prior to the race is not ready. And it's got all the points from last week and everything, and we are not off to a great start today. But it is what it is. Sometimes these technical things happen, and I'm going to blame it squarely on Alistair. Because I was looking at this in the standings, and I'm pretty sure Stefan's leading out the season, and this is the points as they were last week. So that's always fantastic. And let's pop over to the gameplay itself, and we'll get started on the race very shortly and follow it along. And hopefully, whilst the race is happening, Al can do a bit of distraction whilst I tinker in the background and do a little few fixes and tweaks. It's not fun just to sit here, listen to me scratching my head. That makes no sense whatsoever. So we'll get ourselves updated shortly, guys, and we will crack on. But the race should be starting any minute. I did give the guys a 5-minute warning before we start, so that was you see we're at 4 minutes 10 on the bottom right, so we'll be triggering this off in just a moment for the first race. And I do know that in terms of the top 3, we have Stefan at the top by I believe around about 6 points, and then we've got behind him is Webson's in second place, obviously 6 points behind, and then we've got Rabbit in third. Obviously we've got Legion out there tonight, so we're looking pretty favourite, pretty much the favourite for to go and win this race, but he didn't join us until I think round 2 or round 3, so it's going to be hard for him to pull up the season unless everyone kind of finishes in the last few places. Then he could possibly do an upset, but I'm not really looking at Legion for the season. He's pretty much favourite. Fortunately Zeno's not here, and Zeno's pretty well matched with Legion, so we're hoping to see him come on. But we obviously saw last week Stefan taking first place in the endurance race, which is obviously a real big, I wouldn't say a big surprise, that's a disservice to Stefan, but I think of Legion very highly in terms of his pace and stuff like that, so not in terms of personality. Obviously I don't know why it made the distinction there, but possibly Stefan could be there to cause an upset, but we are going to start off this race very, very shortly. I'm going to slip you guys onto the whole screen whilst I just get things set up away. No point you seeing me flicking around the settings. That's no fun for you guys. So
it's fun for everyone involved, just to learn the secrets, the backgrounds.
Is joined.
Legion joined week 2, I believe it was. So that obviously missing a week does push you back. And surprised that he didn't take the endurance in week 3, considering how easily he ran away in week 2. But I mean, he's got some skilled drivers alongside him, so it's always going to be up against it.
Yeah.
And I think Stefan's in a fantastic place just to hold on, because now he doesn't actually have to go out and win it. He just has to place above Webson and above Rabbit.
Looks like we've been having a pit glitch here. Sorry, guys. That's not what we want. We are very aware of that, and I'm sure someone's already telling me about the pit glitch. We will put you guys on hold for a moment whilst we sort out the old server issues.
See, this one you can't blame on us. It's just the old combination, the old 1-2 of technical and server issues, which again happens in Formula One. I mean, you ever try to see Lewis Hamilton drive out of a pit and just crash into a wall? It happens all the time. I know my cars. So I think with Stefan leading the way, it takes a bit of the pressure off him, because instead of having to go out and like I was saying earlier, push for that win, he just has to know where the points are and be very, very smart with points and placement, which I think helps him a lot, because then it extends the range from I need to go out, I need to be P1 to I can finish 5th, and even if say Rabbit or Webson finish first, I've still got that gap. Because 6 points ahead, so that'll be basically you can finish from 1 to 6 and still be in the winning position, which I mean a huge amount of weight off your shoulder there. And for the others, it's going to be you might see more mistakes coming in as they push for that victory, getting that P1, because they'll need it. They'll need to get high up and hope that Stefan drops. And so the pressure really will be on, and Legion is just gonna run his own race, knowing that he's got nothing really to come and improve. Just he's coming a bit late, so he's always not going to be challenging for the podium places. So now he's just kind of got free reign of the track, and it leads to an interesting final week. Because you got the chasing pack really trying to push themselves. You got Stefan trying to place well, and then you've just got kind of the Mavericks like Legion, who have no skin in the game almost, and can just go out and race their race.
Yeah, some people are really good at that kind of arrive and drive and slap a car around the track, and I mean it's a differential in pace as well. There's a very big scale to one end of the driver scale to the other, and it's very distinct to see that sometimes. But you know what? As long as I get to see a competitive racing, it doesn't really matter hugely at what sort of pace it's at.
That's it. As long as you've got good, clean driving and some competitive anywhere really in the track. Yeah. It can be right at the top. It can be in the middle. It can be at the back. That kind of toing and throwing those battles within the race itself is kind of what we come to see. So it doesn't matter where it is. Exactly. But as long as we see, and we've got an entire grid full of fantastic drivers, so, which means that we are fortunate enough to get to see that battling throughout the grid, no matter who's placing where, who's driving where. Very rare that there is just everyone is spaced out. It's always a battle somewhere.
So we're just waiting for guys to get entered back in.
I think after 3 weeks of kind of trial and error, hopefully we'll see people start to find their feet in the endurance races. Because I know week 1 and 2 definitely there were a few people who kind of their tactics let them down. They were caught short by just by not really kind of feeling out their way. Some people try to push it. I believe there was a cheeky no stop attempt in week 2, and others did well but didn't keep an eye on their tyre wear or their fuel, and it let them down in the end. So hopefully this week we'll really start to see people kind of really finding their rhythm, finding their tactic and their feet in these endurance races.
Definitely. I'm just going to drop some scores into here, because whilst you were talking there on your little distraction technique, I managed to update our standings and stuff. Just waiting for the last couple of joiners for people to read up.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple
kicked off.
There's a couple of names in this grid that I'll be keeping an eager eye on in the endurance race. Not to kind of push them and see where they come, just to see how they've improved from the last few weeks. Yeah. Because I know they didn't really fulfil their tactical end in week 1 and 2, And yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on them just because I like watching that improvement. I like seeing someone kind of learn from the errors that they made before and really start to kind of grow into their own.
So just whilst these guys are just putting the last person in, I've now got the standing sorted. So this is how we're looking going into this round. So we've got Stefan in first, Webson's in second, Rabbit in third, Kenobi in fourth, Bart's in fifth, Dorsey in 6th, Legion in 7th, Ash in 8th, DJ 9th, Edinburgh Lad 10th, DD 11th, Math 12th, Zeno in 13th, Assassin's Ablata 14th, Strakel 15th, and Red in 16th. So you can see it's not far off each other, but you're looking at 1 point per position. So Rabbit's an outside shot to get this, even Kenobi, even to some extent, if Stefan has some really bad races. But the impetus is on Stefan here to go out and get a good win. But I'm sorry I can't put that up for too long because we are going to get the race started now. So I'm going to slap you guys back on the whole screen very quickly and get it triggered and make sure everyone's joined. And let's see how we get on, and hopefully the GT Sport gods will be on our side. We're just waiting for the quali now to start off. Sorry to interrupt you mid-flow there, Al. Get proceedings underway.
No, the flow is there to be stopped when you need it.
Hopefully, connection issue wise, we can get people coming out. And I'm just going to keep an eye on some at the back. See, make sure everyone can get out cleanly. Looks like that's what's happening out.
Yeah, we look like we've got a good, clean, everyone merging into each other out of the pit,
not
which
just spinning
is very
randomly
normal.
around, which is kind of not what you want. And Red looks like he's in. I don't know if he's just not paying attention. It looks like we are one driver short as well tonight, but looks like we're out and we're at least away with tonight's race. So Bart is the one leading us out. Yeah, he's gone in the Vantage by the looks of it. Look at this, how I'm starting to learn cars and everything now. He's in the Vantage.
Impressive.
Car I personally drive myself. Don't know if I'd use it at Brands. Brands is, as you can see from the track map there, it's a weird one. It's a bit of a high, but you've got a lot of medium pace turns, you know, a lot of medium speed corners. You know, so you've not got many heavy braking zones, but it's not a completely flat out track either. You know, it's kind of one I'd personally go out with an all-rounder when I see that Aston Martin Vantage as a bit of a power car personally. We are in the quali here, so we've got a 10-minute quali running here. Good thing is we're not doing it like we've done in the previous weeks where it's all in practice modes and things like that. Is we're just doing this straight up. In this, we've got Kelvin Phillips in the chat. I actually didn't saying Doors for the win. So Doors has got a fan in the chat, and Airbag wishing everyone good luck. Cheers, Airbag, appreciated. So we're now into fast lap. So we're all stay on board with Bart's because he was the first over the line, eh?
As a person experienced in this track, where are you expecting the overtake in this narrow section that we're seeing Bart's run through now?
You're going to see him leading into turn 1 there, and possibly coming out of turn 1 before that hairpin, possibly even some in the hairpin. There's a few overtaking spots here. You know, come the exit running out of this corner is usually a place where you can, you know, get past somebody. You're looking really to get past people before you get to the next turn, and hopefully not side by side to them going into a turn. You know, that's the ideal overtake really. So we're on board with Bart's putting together a competent lap at the moment, doing nothing offensive at all, going through on this next right-hander. A lot of series of right-handers now. This one's an uphill one. You brake and mark, you're looking at those green little things on the side. Second one, maybe a little bit heavy on the brakes there, could have maybe gone through a little bit lighter, and it looks like he's putting through a nice banker lap. So you're looking at 113 per lap here, so gonna give everyone a good opportunity to at least have a few tries at it, especially got no fuel or tyre wear to worry about, so it's not like you're slowing down of each lap or anything like that. Bart gets himself a 124 flat. Legion comes over for 122, great time there. Rabid, he looks like he got a 124, looks like times are going through now. Stefan with 123, math, and those times are too fast to read, so apologies, but I'm not a cyborg that manages, and even if I was, I don't know if they have the ability to slow down time. So what do you think, Al? Do you think cyborgs have the ability to slow down time? A key factor of this qualification.
That is a very key factor.
Would they have the technology?
Well, they'd have the technology to almost comprehend at super speed, so kind of in their minds, time would be slower, so they can comprehend each part. but would they be able to communicate it in an effective manner that we understand? They cannot, because they could probably say it as it came through and overlap their own voice.
Shall we just do the whole stream like this, just talking about could very much penetrate time. Anyway, let's have a look through the grid as it stands at the moment. So we've got Legion up top, pole position, then about half second behind you've got Kenobi running a 1:22.8, then you've got Webson's in third with 1:22.9, Stefan in fourth with 1:23.3, Ash in fifth, looks like he's run wide, and it looks like a bit of coming together there between Nicky and Math. Looks like someone lost the rear end, must have caused themselves, but there's still plenty of this qualifier left, so at least throw out another 2 or 3 laps, so hopefully people aren't going to be too disheartened if they do have a bit of a spin. Bart's in 7th, probably would want to see himself get himself up a couple more places. It could just be not his track, you know, some people are just like that. I mean, I've got a couple of tracks where I just perform awfully on. In fact, actually at the moment now I'm pretty, like, it comes to the rain, I haven't, like, because obviously I had my second kid and stuff, you know, I hadn't touched the wheel in about 2 or 3 months. It's only been past 2 or 3 weeks I've been playing again, and I'm very slow. very slow. It's great.
You got to dust the rust off.
That's it, dust the rust. I'm doing a bit more than that, mate. I think I've only had plenty of time to dust the rust off. Now I'm just shit. Such as that.
No, you got to wait for the galvanisation process and all that just to get through, so you can protect yourself from future rust.
Kelvin Phillips is crazy Taff. Hey Taff, how's it going, bud? I get it now. So we'll try and do a bit of commentary now, huh? Yeah. So let's try and find someone. I was trying to get to this group before they go over the line, so we're on board with Nikki, who's 1/10 behind her best, but it's trapped behind Steedy here. Problem with a qualifier, if you get caught in traffic, really hard to get those fast laps in. I'd probably, knowing I was already a 10th off my time, I'd probably just sit off here. Yeah, it looks like that's what she's doing. Sit off and let Steedy there. Just trying to keep it together, giving Kenobi a little kiss on the way past. Legion making an improvement, Bart's as well making an improvement, as is Rabid, 1:22.5 from Rabid there. Great improvement from his Stefan with a 1:22.1 taking the pole position. Really has come on a lot this season. I don't know whether that's, again, I feel like every stream now I'm starting to patronise him because he keeps doing well. What point does someone start, you know, what point does he stop being a surprise and actually start being a true a contender, you know?
Well, anytime someone improves their position from the last race, you've got to say there's an improvement there. It's regardless of the factors to it, from race on race, an improvement is always good.
It's about half a temp down his best, so he's still not bad off here. We'll jump on board of Ash as he comes over the line as well. He's 6 temps down, so he's on a bit of a bad lap at the moment. See if we can get on board with somebody who's up on their time. Edinburgh lad, Mr. Consistent P9, I call Edinburgh lad. It's like every race I watch him, he'll finish in 9th. In fact, I hedge my bets tonight. One of these 2 races, he'll finish in 9th place. In fact, I want you to check that for me before the end.
I'll keep an eye, because I mean, every race he's trying to call the emergency services. It's just a 999 every single time.
Yeah, this is it.
So that's what you get me for.
I get it.
Spent all night writing that one.
Edinburgh lad is 2 temps up on his best. So again, on struggling to get time there. Dorsey had a spin, so he's got time to get round again. If he gets round the lap before the timer ends, then he's got time for another lap. Rabid coming in 2 seconds up. Stefan not able to make an improvement yet. Ash, I think, was about 6 temps up last time we saw him come round, so nothing coming from him. Webson's in 5th position, great position from him. Looking like he's a couple of temps up on his time as well, so not seeing any improvement on the 22.9 that Webson's has thrown out. Nikki Barron has made an improvement, dropping for tonight for our no-shows, and she is running a 23.7. Red with a 25.3. So a couple of improvements there.
Yes, it's nicely in the middle of the pack, which it's starting to get a bit condensed there in terms of times. So looks to be a very even race in that middle section with your breakaway pack up top.
So Nikki looks like she's up on her time here, 4 temps up, so could see another improvement. Bart's is only, quarter of a tenth up on top of her, so if Nikki can make this count, then going to be going up a few places. Looks like she's still 3 temps up, will stay on board, and see if the improvement comes through. Still got a minute 30 left, and that's of normal time, I suppose, if you call it that. Legion has gone out and taken himself pole position with 22.1. Rabid making an improvement with 22.4 as well, so ground down about a tenth on his time as well. So seeing these laps come through, and let's stay on board with Nikki and see if there's an improvement.
Yeah, I mean, she's still holding in down on her time, or up on her time technically. So coming through to the final straight, she should see an improvement.
Thinking that. Oh no, just must have lost it a little bit there. Ended up a tenth down. Let's jump on board with somebody else now, see if we can get someone else who might be up on their time to follow. Bart's
I'll take the blame on that one. I'll give her the commentator's curse.
Yes. Red and Steedy making improvements there to their own time, so well done to them. Edinburgh lad coming over now. Let's see how he's doing with his time. He's running in the M3.
Sitting down at 11th, so I'm unhappy with him at the moment.
Yeah,
he needs to up them places.
Second and a half up. He needs to find that time. This is his last lap now. He's going round. Math. Currently filling in our 14th place with a 25.9. See what time see if he's up on himself if he comes up through here. And yes, he's made a 10th up improvement, so he'll stay on board with Math. See if he can grind a bit of time. If he keeps this difference, he should climb himself up a position, get himself in front of Steedy for the start of this race. Math running in the Porsche 911, a car I actually love running myself, actually an all-rounder, and one I'd consider running in this race. Still got the gap up, not enough currently to go up a position, but let's see if he can stick it through. A little bit slow through that corner, can carry a little bit more speed through that one. And likewise with this one, that was actually much better. Carried good speed going through that one. I could say as well, if he ever watches this back, he seems to rev his car maybe a little over revs it a little bit too much and loses a little bit of power on each time he does that. So this car, the third comes, some cars you can over rev, some cars that took over pretty quickly, and I can hear your car ticking over. But an improvement there for Math. Well done there. He got himself up to 30th place, improvement by almost 3 tenths. So fantastic time for there, and it looks like it's bringing us towards the end of the quali. Don't think anyone's currently out doing anything fast. Edinburgh lad making an improvement himself. Look, 9th place for Edinburgh lad.
There we go. He's back. See, I was disappointed with him, and in the next lap he moved back up.
Equilibrium has been restored now.
The world is all right again.
The balance has been restored to the universe. Edinburgh lad.
I don't like it when he's out of
Webson's making an improvement there with a 22.7. That's actually a great time for Webson. So that's improve. I think that actually pushed him in front of Kenobi. So well done there. Didn't realise they were still out on fast lap. So fantastically well done from him.
With this track, do you think it would favour an aggressive approach or a more cautious approach?
Aggressive. You can attack these corners. The only thing about this track, there's not much of a runoff for it. So we're just going to quickly confirm. So we've got Legion, Stefan, Rabid, Websons, and we got that far. I think it comes up again, but I'll see if I can do it. This is the true test. Get the guy with the speech disorder to read things very quickly. This is what we do at ZFS. This is what we're about. Right, so we've got Legion, Stefan, Rabid, Websons, Kenobi, Ash, Bart's, Nikki, Edinburgh Lad, Dawes, Red Design, Assassin's Blaza, Math, and Steedy. That's... We got there, Al.
We did it, just perfect timing.
So we have a 15-minute sprint race here. No fuel or tyre wear to worry about, just go for it. And one of the nicer turn ones, actually. There's some real nasty turn ones, and I don't think there's any turn one that particularly ever comes out great. But there's some that you do get a bit fortunate. We'll probably see a couple of people run wide here. It's fairly standard fare at Brands Hatch. It looks like Webson's has been run, and it looks like, oh, that's a fortunate one there. Looks like we had a really bad spin from the purple and person in orange. Red Design, I've just remembered about the replay system, so I forgot to tag all that. Red Design looks like it had a spin there and it caught another driver.
It looks like Webson's got caught at the back.
Looks like Rabid has moved himself up to P2 with Stefan breathing down his neck, and Legion's already asserted himself as the race leader, as we kind of expected. Let's jump on board with Edinburgh Lad, as he's got Ash 5 tenths behind him, drilling back some pace, and Stefan sitting up on Rabid behind him. So if I was sitting here, Edinburgh Lad, this is a good position for him. As we know, Mr. P9, I'd be looking at this thinking, you know what, Legion and Rabid are going to get in a fight here. If I can just get my head down, not focus so much on Ash behind me, because he's got a guy breathing down his neck at the minute with Ash, who you can jump on board with. As you can see, pretty close following behind him. But I'd be focusing, you know what, get my head down, don't worry about Ash too much. Ash might make a move, might get on the inside. I'd say let him have the place and let people have their fights and their battles. No point trying to over defend for a race. Nicky, 6 tenths behind. Got a Kenobi drilling up behind. I imagine Kenobi's a little bit disappointed with the start, and I can imagine he's going to try and work his way up through this race. Followed by Assassin Sablaza, and then Dorsey, and then a bit of a way off from that, second half, probably a bit of argy-bargy in that first lap, and a few knocks in that. Is seeing probably Bart's probably a bit further back than what he'd like to be, followed by Steedy, then Math, then Red Design, and at the back Webson's having a bit of a disaster. Our guy obviously second place in the season themselves in last place in this race, after a nasty what looks like some nasty bits of collision there as he tries to take the inside on Red and tries to get some move done. Looks like he's got it, but he's got his Corvette against a Beetle. Corvette's got that straight line power, and you can see that pullback. Well, slowly edge that back on Webson's. He's now going to get the inside line. Webson's going to find it hard to hold his position without sending himself too wide, which looks like he's going to have to give it back to Red. And looks like got an interesting race folding out at the back there. Looks like we've had another spin as well. We'll see if we can catch that one. I just saw that one at the side. That was Kenobi, who looks like he's having a bit of a shocker there. So we'll jump back with Kenobi and let's have a look and see what happened with that one. So Kenobi just going up on his inside there, and looks like maybe just trying to get a bit too aggressively through. Catches the side of Nicky and unfortunately sees himself into the barrier. So unfortunate to see from him. Going into there, and he's going to have some work now to get himself back through. Let's go back up to the top of the race. Legion, 2 seconds out. I think he's in the Porsche as well. Porsche 911. And we've got Rabbit also in the Porsche as well, holding out in second place with Stefan still firmly within his grasp. And Edinburgh Lad, now that gap between Edinburgh Lad and Stefan has started to develop, but Edinburgh Lad is maintaining that gap nicely with Ash, and I wasn't sure if that was a little bit of a nick there from Ash. That sent him right.
It looked like a small nudge there.
Yeah, just to give him, we are going to watch that one back and have a little look. Those little things can happen. This isn't me sitting here going, oh, look how terrible these people are doing. But these are the things that we learn from. That end of the day, if you give someone that knock and they lose the position, you just got to sit behind them and take it for what it is. Yeah, just give them a little tap and just saw him off. So Ash, if you watch this back, mate, try and if you see yourself doing that, just sit back and give the person the place back, because if it doesn't feel clean, then give it back is our general rules. We're back now at the race. Looks like 2 and 3 have really got himself in this little block here, so it's going to be really interesting to see it folds between these two in the sprint. We've got Nicky working her way through up to 5th place. She's actually got herself in front of Edinburgh Lad, as has Ash as well, so I think Edinburgh Lad must have had a little slip there or something, and Ash looks like he's done the same. He's got himself wide, and now Nicky's going to take advantage of that and moves up to P4. So I think when we saw her earlier up in, down in P8, she's made some good progress.
Yeah, I think a lot of these mid-pack drivers have been fortunate with a couple of slip-ups from Kenobi and those at the back end. Now with Edinburgh Lad, I think a few people have benefited with OC Assassin. Just have a spin. Yeah, had a spin there. Unfortunately, Assassin is looks like he did give us a text earlier and let us know he was a bit worried about his connection with them having some local issues where he lives, and fortunately it seems like it is having an effect, because you saw his car was slightly having a wiggle, which if you're on track and near that makes you very nervy. It really does. Yeah, it's unfortunate with that.
Mike join the chat as well. Hey there, Mike, thanks for joining in. He's got Doors. It is cheering on Doors as well, so we've got a lot of fans of Doors. They've got Doorsy Clue. The Doorsettes.
A very popular fella.
The Doorsettes, I don't know what to call them. What do you call Doorsy's fan club?
Doorsers? I don't know.
The Doorsers. Doorsies.
Doorsemans.
The Doorman?
We can go on like that. The Doormans.
Yeah.
The Doorsmans. Yeah.
Okay, that could work. So Nicky now is going to be looking like it's going to be a bit of an ask for these guys here to push up to that pack in 3rd, but really is going to be a scrap now for 4th between Nicky, Ash and Edinburgh Lad. Notice at the back as well, Kenobi's working himself up through the grid after a couple of early slips, so he'll be pleased to see if he can get himself back perhaps in the top half of this race, but he's got a bit of work in order to do to get them a few overtakes to get that done. Got a little bit of a scrap happening between these two here, Steedy and Math. You always see these guys having good races, and hopefully we should see that happen again today. Math with the slight advantage at the minute, being just about a second up, and looks like he's growing that with a better exit out through that turn. Assassin Zablaza has unfortunately finds himself slipped back after that slip that we saw before, so it is a bit of a challenging one for him for today. Stefan Rabid fight still going strong. You know, both people in the same car, so no one's going to have the car advantage at any part for this track. It's going to come purely down to race ability. Who's your money on, Rabid? Out?
I would say for this Rabid, purely because if I was Stefan sitting in that mindset, I wouldn't be pushing for an overtake.
No.
I'd be going, I just need to stay here. And if Rabid makes a mistake, I've picked up a position on him. But I don't need to push for that overtake. I mean, what would you do in this situation if you knew
if
you
I
had
was
that
Rabid or
point
if I was
differential?
Stefan?
If you were Stefan.
If I was Stefan, I would be watching, because I know I've got a few races. I've got no one behind me, no one in front of me. I know I can keep pace with Rabid. I think what Stefan's probably doing, what I'd be doing, is an overtake for me takes a few laps to do, because I mean, in a sprint race, you do want to try and find the overtaking opportunity sooner rather than later. But with this kind of thing where you know you've got a few laps to get the job done, I'd be waiting and seeing and watching, watching the time difference between me and him on that top left, and working out on the track where I'm stronger and where he is weaker. And then from there, once you know where you're stronger and where he's weaker, and where he's stronger and where you're weaker, that's when you pick your moment. You pick your time to go, actually, you know what, I'm gonna make a push, try and get as close up to you as I can going into the bit where I'm strong, and then I'm gonna put my car in a very awkward place where you're gonna either have to go on the defensive or see if you can get out the other side faster than me. So yeah, that's the basic principle of if you're looking to get a good overtake. I mean, sprints, the rules are a little bit different, and as you working away through a pack, sometimes you've got to be a little bit more aggressive. But over a longer race, I've always been a fan of planning your overtakes as opposed to just going for it as soon as the first opportunity arrives. Obviously, if someone makes a mistake and has a slip and they lose the back end and the opportunity turns up, and obviously I'm not going to sit behind them out of some sort of weird racing respect or anything like that. But yeah, that's generally what I do when I'm looking at overtaking on a track, because it's very easy to do an overtake wrong. And if you do an overtake wrong, one or two things happen. One, you end up crashing into the other person, pinning him or you out, which either way is bad news. Or you completely spoon it up and lose a lot of pace and give the guys behind you a chance to grind back at that gap.
Yeah, I think for Rabid and Stefan, that last bit you just said, trying to maintain that gap between Nicky, who's in fourth, that's probably the most important thing that they're looking at. Not just looking to kind of battle each other or catch up with Legion, but maintain that gap between third and fourth.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like these two are really going at it. Ash and Nicky, saw a little bit of close racing there with Ash up behind. Looks like he sat back again now. He's going to wait for his next opportunity. So this is what I'd be doing, the same situation here as I was Ash. Nicky's now been in front a couple of laps, but doesn't really seem to be pulling away. These two drivers seem to be pretty well matched in terms of pace, in terms of the cars, in terms of the track. And now we are, I believe they're in two different cars. Ash is in the Mazda, whereas Nicky, I believe that is not the correct button. That is not the correct button. And Nicky's in the Lancer, and actually that's where we missed our opportunity. Now that's what happens when you're dicking about. Looks like Nicky lost. You think that's what the opportunity I was talking about. Sit behind someone. You can apply pressure as well. Put your cars in awkward places. Not necessarily going for an overtake, but leave your nose on the inside of them, going into the corner, then pull out at the last moment. That's not dirty driving. That's just forcing people into errors. As long as you're not driving into people and putting, blocking people in places where you shouldn't be, then it's all fair game.
As Edinburgh lad had a bit of a spin, he seems to have disappeared from sixth. It was a couple of seconds behind.
And
now
look where he is.
He's
I pressed 9 on my keyboard and look, and lo and behold, where we are.
It must have had a bit of a spin out. He was sitting happily at sixth, a couple of seconds back, and now he's a couple of seconds behind Webson's in eighth.
And I noticed at the back as well, we've got Bart's and Red Vizine and Steedy, so they must have all had a bit of slips to drop themselves behind Assassin, or either that Assassin found some really good pace out of nowhere and sort of pulled those positions back, but I think we've had a few slips there as well. Math in 10th position. This would be a great result for him if he pushes on. He's looking comfortable for it as well. We have 3 minutes left in this race, so only a few more laps, and he's got a 4-second gap either side of him. So you know what? Credit where it's due. He's been clocking into these races week in, week out, and he's been improving each week. And yeah, it'd be fantastic to see him go out and grab himself a P10.
Now, this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see drivers coming in and
Improve.
just, even that little bit of improvement, taking one corner slightly better, their handling a bit better, their tyre wear slightly better. That's like all you want to do, and over weeks it adds up, and kind of the first week versus the last week is almost night and day. So, yeah, fingers crossed that they hold that position.
So Dorsey, it's really weird. I really want to do some commentary over Dorsey, but every time I come to him, he's in no man's land. There's not really much to talk about other than him going around in his a little Alpha 4C, like it's not his little car or something. So unfortunately, there's not really much to say about what's going on in Dorsey's race. He just looks like he's going to be maintaining his 6th position outside of any slip like that. Webson's again not a hugely dramatic race from Webson's, although I say that hugely dramatic. Earlier at the start of the race, he was down in P14, so he's actually done a lot of work. Apologies, Webson's, just remember that you were down at P14 and now finds himself in P7. So obviously worked very hard for that. Looks like Kenobi's and looks like Edinburgh Lad's had an equally slip, but looks like Kenobi's had a slip and Edinburgh Lad has got himself up into P8.
Yeah, these timings are being odd, because he was a couple of seconds down on Kenobi, and now is sort of almost 8 seconds up.
Half the race, half the combat is with the race. If you can keep the car on track, you'll usually finish in the top half of a race. Regardless a lot of your pace, if you can get that consistency and get that flow in your racing, then you're always going to succeed. Doesn't matter if you're 1 second slower a race. If you're racing against someone who slips off the race, who slips off the track twice, and you don't, then you're going to win, aren't you? It's pretty simple. Every slip you do is a loss of about 10 to 20 seconds. It's a big loss.
I mean, it's the fable of that Australian speed skater in the Winter Olympics. I'm sure we've all seen that video by now, just of someone sitting in the back, keeping in the race, and then everyone else falls, and he wins gold. Not the best racer by any stretch, but kept himself there and ended up as champion of the world. So it's all you got to do in these races. You got to keep yourself consistent, keep yourself in touch. Yeah, doesn't even have to be very, very close, but you got to keep yourself in touch with these other drivers. And one mistake can be a huge difference, because you put you up 2-3 places. Yeah,
absolutely. So Legion, we haven't looked at Legion much, but he's pretty comfortable at the top here. Built his gap up now to 6 seconds, so he looks like he's going to be leading out going into race 2, as we've got about 50 seconds left of this race, and he's currently on about 29 seconds, so it looks like this is going to be his last lap of the race. So it looks like we're on everyone's last lap. Rabid is still holding off Stefan. If anything, since we've been on board, it was about a half-second gap at the time. That's now extended to a 1 second gap, so Rabid's maintained that, and he's looking good to hold that, providing there's no extra mess ups or anything like that. Stefan, I don't think there's any question about Stefan finishing this race in the top 3, which in terms of the season, this result is good for him. If he can keep Rabid within 1 point, that means Rabid's got to make up 9 points on the next race. Webson's is kind of out of it. He's already dropped 5 points to Stefan, so this result for him leaves Stefan in a really good place to go into the last race pretty comfortable, knowing that if he finishes inside the top 8 or 9, he's going to win. He's going to win the race. So it looks like guys are coming over the line now. Legion has already gone over and confirmed his first position. Then we've got Stefan and Rabid. So Rabid getting P2, Stefan getting P3. Ash looks like, did he get in front of Nicky there? Last time we were with them, it was Nicky in front, wasn't it? So
no, we saw that overtake.
We didn't really. So Nicky getting 4th, Ash getting 5th.
Dorsey
getting 6th.
Oh, he is.
Webson's.
Look who's coming at night.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, no way. Kenobi's got in front of Edinburgh Lad and
has made that overtake. And
I'm
Edinburgh
sorry.
Lad
is that the commentator's curse, or is that the opposite of the commentator's curse? I don't know.
I don't know. If someone is consistent at hitting the same target and we keep pushing it, I don't like cheering someone dropping positions, but it had to be. So I'm sorry, Edinburgh lad, if we did curse you.
Confirm Assassin in 10th and Math in 11th, and we're going to see Red over the line now, getting himself his 12th. Bart's in 13th, and Steedy finishing out the race in 14th place. So good race overall, though, eh? I will ask you though in a moment for your thoughts, because I want you to store all your thoughts up until the point where I can't. I've got to do all the points and stuff.
Store
your thoughts, but yeah, I'm going to give my thoughts. Yeah, I really enjoyed that race. Obviously, kind of expected Legion to go out and win that. I was edging Stefan to take that P2, but really good to see him go out, and really good to see Rabid come with a bit of a swing back. I think it's going to lead us into the last race with Stefan being quite the favourite to go on, and obviously go on and win this. But it's still not completely over. All it takes is a slip. You saw that from a few of the drivers. Bad slip in the last couple of laps of the race, you find yourself back in P10 or so, and it blows the season completely wide open. So really, really should be interesting. So I'm just gonna be tweaking some settings and stuff like that. Whilst I'm doing that, the beautiful Alistair is going to give you his thoughts on what he's just seen.
I mean, I think I echo your sentiment. Obviously, we'd expect Legion to come out and put out the race he did. And yeah, I would have expected to see a Rabid, Stefan and Webson up there, but unfortunately this race was quite heavily dictated by spins and crashes. And I feel that, I think, if I remember correctly, Webson's was just caught up in that first, not even his spin out, but caught up in another spin out in that first corner, which unfortunately pushes him out of contention for the title, I feel. And yeah, a lot of positions were determined by just a slip here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But Stefan just now needs to run his race. Mm-hmm. That's it. Doesn't need to push for anything. Just needs to be cautious, careful, and run the race. Yeah.
Just do the race.
And barring any slip out is looking good for that title. But I think Rabid did what he needed to do. Finished second, came out and closed the gap just slightly, but did exactly what he needed to do. And I think Nicky
asked the question for him as well. Sorry to interrupt you on this one. Sorry, just interrupt you on that one. But yeah, I asked a question as well that Stefan looking like he's wrapped up the first position, but Rabid and Webson's might have blown up the door wide open for the silver medal.
That's true. The podium is still up for grabs. I think there's possibly still a few people in contention to even reach third, but I think that might be a bit out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
But that fight still there is for the second place.
Mm-hmm.
is definitely still up for grabs. So that's going to be an interesting race within a race right there, between Websons and Rabid, to see what happens. But a great race from Nicky, who moved herself up quite a few places, and and I think it's going to be an interesting endurance race to see kind of who has learnt their lessons from the last 3 weeks, who has figured out how to kind of look after their tyres, manage their fuel, and
be interesting to compare it to the very first race that we saw. Because like I said, a lot of these boys, we've met a lot of these drivers from open lobby racing and stuff like that. So that naturally by its nature lends itself more to sprints and less fuel and tyre wear, not so much the endurance and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see that going into the last round.
Yeah, because in week one there was definitely a huge, I would say huge, but definitely a gap between those who had done endurance races before and those coming in new, where you felt that almost the race was determined before it had even started, because you knew who would get up into those top positions because they had done these races before. But now, hopefully, it opens the field back up to driver skill, and as everyone is slowly learning the tactics a bit better.
Yeah. Definitely.
But the question is,
who's getting your award for the driver of the race for the last one?
The last one, I mean, it's a tough one. Obviously, I'll commend Legion every single time, because he comes out and he nails it. Yeah,
you can't ignore the person who wins the race, really, can you?
And I've got to commend Edinburgh Lad for running in with the joke. That's how I'm going to stick it, and staying in 9th.
Yeah, no,
but I probably, it's a difficult one. I would say Webson. Had a bad slip at the beginning, caught up in a crash at the beginning, and especially when you're pushing for the title, I think that would have crushed on that first corner, to see yourself slip back into 14th, knowing that you are pushing for the title, and then to claw your way back to 7th, I'll have to commend Websons for that.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, give him the drive of the race just for the kind of the mental fortitude and the skill to get himself back up.
Okie dokie. So I'm going to think of one more question to ask you that I can't think of. Who are you going for? I think Legion's pretty sure for P2, but give me a prediction for the podium in the endurance.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll say Legion is a P1. P2, Rabid is good at the endurance. He occasionally attempts the cheeky no stop, which could be his undoing. But I would favour Rabid for this as a P2. P3, I think barring any slips, I'm probably going to say Websons in P3 with Stefan in 4th.
Okay, and I just have one more thing to do, buddy. So thank you so much for being the beautiful person that you are.
I mean, I try and do this every single day.
Whilst I just get all the points sorted. So it's nice to know where we're at going into the last race. Well, you know, so I will give the guys a couple. I'll give the guys a 2-minute warning.
Yeah, it helps for us as well to keep an eye on the little battles in between and know the significance of maybe a tussle here and there that could be quite easily thrown away as, right, it's 12th and 13th. It's not going to matter much to the final standings, but in reality, for the championship final standings, yeah, there could be places up for grab in that battle.
The race 1 results, I'm just confirming them there. Sorry to interrupt you there. So we can see that Legion got his 1st place, Rabid got 2nd, Stefan 3rd, Ash in 4th, Nicky 5th, Dawes in 6th, Websons in 7th, Kenobi 8th, Edinburgh Lad 9th, Assassin's Ablaza 10th, Math 11th, Red in 12th, Bart's in 13th, and Steedy 14th. So that leaves the current season with Stefan looking quite assured out here on top. He's got 9-point lead on Rabid going into the last round. So that basically means that if he gets 9th place or higher, he will win the season. Then we've got Rabid and Websons pretty close there. There's going to be only one position in it. Rabid with an advantage by a point, but that was going to be Richie. Really is going to be the race to watch. Kenobi and Legion. Legion's going to be pretty assured to get in front of Kenobi. I think we're looking pretty safe pair of hands to go out and get himself the race win. Then we've got Dawes, pretty comfortable there in 6th. Bart's in 7th, who can pretty much get anywhere from P2 to P14. What we've seen from Bart's. Ash, consistent Ash. He's there in with a shout. Maybe move up a place or 2 for the last race. He's in 8th position. Edinburgh Lad in 9th with 53 points. Going to be 11 points. Going to be quite an ask to move up position. So the best he can do is hope to consolidate his 9th position now. Can't believe it. What's going on? DJ in 10th. And the guys have asked me to hold up 2 minutes, so I'm gonna ask them to let me know when they're ready to go.
Are you
ready to read through the rest?
Yeah.
Can you read that?
So DJ on 49, so could be there to fight in and knock Edinburgh off his 9th position, and then we've got quite a close group there with Math on 37, Steedy on 35, and Assassin's Ablaza on 34. So that's going to be an interesting battle there. Assassins could end up anywhere from 11th to even 14th, because Zeno's not racing. So we got Red Vizine on 18 and Dracul on 13. So I think there's going to be a lot of non-movers, but we've got little battles there between the two. So obviously, Rabid and Websons is one that a lot of people will be keeping an eye on, as it's up for 2 and 3, silver or bronze. There's going to be battling out and 1 point between them. So the smallest margin of error right there.
Cool.
And yeah, with Kenobi and Legion, you expect Legion to leapfrog there and hit 4th.
Well, the guys have confirmed that they're ready to start. We do have one person just waiting to ready up, which they just have. So I'm going to start. I wish all the guys good luck. And
so I'm expecting quite a few of those little battles there in between. As far as the races, I'd be memorising those names either side of me and hunting them down on the track just to make sure that what happens is I finish ahead of them. So you're going to see hopefully some quite close battles between those groups as they know where they stand.
Definitely. So we're going to go into what is the final race of this season of our what do you call it? Inaugural season? Is that a right way of saying it? Inaugural.
I think inaugural. Yeah.
Inaugural. Yeah. In our inaugural season, see if Stefan can go out and be our first league champion. Which, like we said, he's looking pretty safe to do so. All he got to do is get himself a higher than a P9, and that's on the assumption that Rabbit goes on and wins. So Legion's looking pretty short of that. So if he gets himself in the top 10, he's going to win the season. So we're off Rabbit with a much better start there from Legion, as you could see, coming through, and hopefully we'll see him coming down to the corner. Rabbit getting himself right out, and Legion not getting off to a great start as he normally does. One car run wide there, looks like that was Kenobi run wide, probably not enough space on the track for him to get through. We'll jump board on board with him in a minute and watch that one back. We'll just keep an eye on the action as they come through and get their initial places. Rabbit really fighting for that P1, he really wants to win this race. Really good to see from him, endurance as well. He's gone out on the super soft tyres, so I would reckon we're looking at a 2-stop here from Rabbit. There's basically 2 strategies on the table here. How we've got 1 stop if you want to fuel save, or 2 stop if you want to go for it. So we're going to see a few people flicking behind it. Last week it heavily favoured the 1 stop, but I think this week is a lot more a balance, and you have to drive at a lot slower pace in order to save enough fuel to make the 1 stop work. So hopefully we're going to see a bit of difference applied to the strategy, where the 2 stoppers aren't automatically going to be out the race.
No, because I think we'll see a lot of people trying to push it. We'll see Rabbit and Webson's having to battle between P2, P3. So I reckon we'll see both of them having to do a 2-stop, as they'll be trying to push themselves quite hard to place as high as they possibly can.
Yeah.
So I'd reckon we'd see more 2 stops than 1 stops, just through the closeness of the final standings.
Hopefully. So we're on board with Red at the moment. We've got quite a bit of a pack going on in front, but we've just finished up our first lap, going into the second lap now. Gonna stick on board Stefan probably a little bit further where he'd like, but again, all he's got to do is just put in a comfortable performance, get himself in the top 10, and he's got this season in the bag. I don't know whether obviously he wouldn't know this, because he probably wouldn't have worked out the points in his head unless he's watching this stream in real time alongside the race, in which case don't fuck it up. I am a professional commentator, Al. I don't know what you're saying.
I mean, we're all professionals here,
yeah.
and
we've always played ourselves to like the D team, even though we're the only commentary team in this place, but we are still like the D team, I think.
I mean, we're placed in 4th behind 3 imaginary teams in our own heads.
Yeah.
It's a tough battle.
It's a competitive market out there. So you notice that Legion finished in front. It's got in front of Rabbit now. It looks like we've had a drop out there, which I think he was having connection issues. So I think he's either gracefully bowed out from this race, Assassins of Laza, or he might have just dropped out due to connection issues. So unfortunate for him there. I know he does have them, so it's a tough one, especially when it comes to online racing, where you possibly are a risk to yourself, to your own race and other drivers' races. A little bit of contact going on there between Kenobi and Red. Sees Kenobi come out the worst of it, but obviously we weren't really keeping on board that much to see what's going on. So we've got Nikki coming out in P3 at the moment, wants to make that hers and see if she can go out and make an impression, get herself a podium, and really sort of welcome herself into the ZFS racing community.
Yeah, I mean, a great start from her. And I think she's in a nice position where P1, P2 have already got a bit of a gap out there, so it's just sort of a position where you start to just race your own race and focus on your own things. And Ash will probably try to push her and find that overtake somewhere.
Kenobi looks like he's been having a tough night tonight. I think we've seen obviously a couple of slips in the first race. Looks like he got embroiled in a bit of nastiness going through turn 1 of this race. Sometimes it sounds, we all try our best, and I think everyone in this lobby is trying their best not to make contact. But ultimately, none of the guys here are professional racing car drivers. We're all just people trying to enjoy a video game for what it is, and sometimes there's just not enough track for all that many cars to go through at the same time. Now, I'm going to try and jump back and see if we can catch what actually happened, because I did play the marker, so let's see if we can keep an eye on what actually happened to Kenobi through this one. So he gets off to a really good start and gets himself on puts himself on the outside because he was catching up a little bit too fast, and it just looks like he just gets hit from the side there and pushed out wide. So one of them, just again, too many cars coming through at the same point, and I'm sure if that was me, I'd probably be spitting feathers about it. But you just got to make the best of the race that unfolds in front of you sometimes, Al.
earlier. All you can say is there's definitely no malice involved in any of these crashes. They're just no one's trying to nudge anyone or be a bit of an arse in the track.
Had a bit of a fall off there and has actually brought back a position. Now sees Ash move up into a podium position, so Ash will probably be looking to see if he can get himself a podium, which I'm not sure if Ash has actually pulled off a podium this season, so it'd be nice to see our resident South African go out and do it for his nation.
Don't know where that accent was going.
I stopped it immediately when I realised I was actually going for pure African, and I realised actually, you know what, this stream could go one way and that's not the way it should go.
Yeah, Ash was, when we last looked, Ash was definitely poking and prodding behind Nicky just to make sure, just to find a way in, and has found his overtake and taken it well. So I think that third to about sixth is very congested there. Obviously, Nicky unfortunately run very wide and dropped down. Yeah, I don't know if that was
again a bit of contact. I did grab that as a replay tag, so we can give that one a little watch back and see if we can see what happened on that one. So she tried to make a move up on Ash on the outside, and just caught a little bit of his rear tyre there. Nothing in that, unfortunately. Be frustrating to be involved in that, but again, you know, under close racing, it can be quite challenging.
And in your
opinion, gone in
there,
for a pit, as has Red Design. So, like I said, we're going to have looks like there's a lot of people on two-stop strategies here. Be interesting to see if anyone's gone for the longer strat, because that's not something I've noticed at the moment. A lot of people on the soft or the supersize side. So I think we might probably almost have everyone probably even doing the two-stop on this race out.
Yeah, it's possible that a lot of those in the mid-pack will probably look to do those two stops. I kind of expect Legion to maybe try and do the one stop. He's very good at kind of keeping his tyre wear.
If you look at his fuel,
his
like
fuel
Rabid and Legion's fuel in comparison to maybe Let's Go, and you know, not to isolate someone, but let's have a look at Edinburgh Lad. You know, there's a definite difference in the fuel consumption there. I know, for example, Ash runs on automatic, so he's going to be, you know, a little bit further down as well. You know, when you're running manual gears, you can shift up a bit earlier and stuff like that, which makes, obviously, that saves a lot of fuel because you're not over revving the engine. Whereas when you're on automatic, you don't really have the choice to do that, because obviously the automatic just automatically revs the car up as soon as the rev limiter gets up to full. So yeah, it's going to be hard for him to continue making a huge impressions on endurance races until he gets himself over to manual gears. So that's going to be one for him there to look at, and anyone else who's particularly out there on manual gears. Looks like Webston's having a look up on Edinburgh Lad here, going up around the outside, gets a move done there, nicely done, getting a better exit. Edinburgh Lad catching himself on the grass, and he looks like he's going to send himself off there, probably just push himself a little bit, and look where he's ended. What's going on?
I'm sorry for laughing every time, Edinburgh Lad, but it started off as a bit of a notice, and now it just seems every time we look at you, you're getting into line. No matter where you are. So yeah, an unfortunate stuff.
Rabid has managed to move in front of Legion. Rabid getting out his dick, apparently, and swinging out.
That was, yeah. I didn't really see that one coming up. It didn't look like he was closing
he's
the gap
climbing,
quickly.
Actually, this might be a tyre issue though. Look at the tyre difference though. Like we saw this in the last race with which you obviously weren't here for. What's happened with him and Legion and Stefan? Because I believe when I was talking to Legion, I believe his wheels getting repaired, so he's racing on pad at the minute. When you're racing on pad, it chews through your tyres because you don't have the same smoothness as what you do on a wheel. And I think this is what's kind of hurting him here. Is now the difference is coming. You can see Rabid pulling away. Legion getting a really bad exit from there. Oh, actually, I was saying that he's pulling away because he's gone into pit. So. He's gone into pit and really now leaves Rabid, who looks like is he going for the one stop? It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell with this one because he is doing very well on the fuel compared to some other people as well. You look at that, you know, compared to Rabid versus Kenobi, he's almost got twice as much fuel and twice as much tyres, and he's much further up in the race. Although Kenobi has had a spin as well. Yeah,
I think if I were Rabid. I mean, obviously, I couldn't flick back through and keep an eye on people's tyres and fuels, but the people behind him seem to be sitting on obviously trying to go for that two-stop strategy, but going through their tyres and fuels. So I might actually try the one-stop if I were Rabid.
Going around Dorsey there. Looks like Dorsey finds himself up there. Looks like he's probably going to be coming into pit at some point as well. Not done so effective. Looks like he's going on that full 2-stop run as well. It's interesting to see, because it's quite hard to see the strategies here. It looks like Assassin showing his frustration by the fact that he had a Wi-Fi problem and locked out, as we kind of expected. We've had a bit of chat as well in here. Sorry guys, we missed this. Prestigious CJ chat shit, get banged, which couldn't agree more. A Shadow Legion, who's leading on track, just saying probably talking about our prediction whether who would get P2, and he was shouting out Rabbit, who is now finding himself actually having to race against for P1, so really interested in that one. And that was for driver of the race. He shouted that, or Nicky as well, he called out for driver of the race of race 1. Craig, who's actually Edinburgh lad, says he loves himself a 9th place lap. Well, so yeah, I think he's starting to pick up on it now, the 9th place curse that he seems to have. And we also had Sabalaza letting us know that he had a Wi-Fi problem, so I appreciate the heads up, bud, on that one. Yeah, I'm unfortunate for him. He was doing pretty well for himself in the races, so yeah, I'm fortunate to see him dropping out, as a lot of people are just coming out of the pits now. Legion has opted to go for a harder compound, so he was on the super softs last time, and he's actually gone for the softs, and I'm wondering if he's thinking here, actually, from what he's seen from these last couple of races, get himself out with some softs and see if he can protect those tyres a bit better and maybe not lose that pace that he seemed to be losing towards the end of his stint. Rabid, yeah, so tyres are pretty shot, but he's holding them pretty well. He's still got plenty of fuel. I wonder if, the halfway point of this what is about 12 laps. Yeah, I mean, seeing 4 laps is a long time when your tyres start to wear. Yeah, it just takes that one pushing it too far to slip out. He's going in now. He must be starting to feel it, and the worst thing he could do is slip now. So Stefan, not yet pitted as well, and he's going to see if he can hold himself out for another lap on the softer tyres. Whether or not Rabbit's going to swap himself to a different tyre compound, see if he can maybe one-stop the rest of the race. Do a one-stop, and this is an early pit for him, and then he goes out and fuel saves for the rest of the race with a harder compound, maybe going out on the mediums or something. That could be what he's thinking. And looks like he's gone out on the super softs again, so it looks like he's going for that 2-stop strategy as well. So don't think I've seen anyone actually trying the one-stop yet, so going to be really interesting that. That's the strategies involved. Seems to be a bit more of a cautious approach. If I were Rabbit that a couple of weeks ago when he tried to push for that no-stopper, and just that one lap where his tyres had gone, but he couldn't quite get to the pits, and I think he dropped about 5 or 6 places. In that one, that would be in the back of my mind of just play it a bit safer. Yeah. Make sure as soon as you feel a bit of the tyre wear go, then get into pit, and then just rely on your skill to push through the rest and make up any time lost. So I think what he's done is smart. Yeah, he's done a smart manoeuvre there, and the 2-stop seems to be the way to go. So just flicking around people, just seeing where people are and sort of how they're getting on across the board. A lot of people have had their first pits already. Looks like Ash has gone in, filled up his tank and slapped on some medium tyres. See if he can protect his, do a bit of a better stint here by going on that softer compound, as we're coming to approximately the halfway point of the race at the moment. And thanks everyone who is watching at the moment. If you want to take part in future races, just jump into our Discord. Link is in the description and all that usual stuff. Hosts leagues on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. Going to be starting up a Thursday league soon. We're going to be running events on Saturdays, and we have open lobbies on the go, so plenty going on at ZFS. So if you're interested, friendly drivers, clean drivers, and people just try and have a laugh and chill. So if that sounds like your thing, hop into our Discord, say hi and go on a race, and then someone will probably tell you to fuck off, because it's the kind of people we are. That's what we do with you well, isn't it? That is, but I think I'm just the outlier in all of your things, because I don't race. I just come here and chat. I just come here and commentate for a bit. So I pop my head in every now and then just to make sure everyone's behaving themselves. But I can echo your sentiment of it's a lovely community and some fantastic people in terms of skill on the driving the track, and obviously off it in just terms of they're nice people. Everyone wants to improve. Everyone wants to help each other improve. And I think you see this through
just this small section of the grid.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of pushing each other and wanting each other to improve and race cleanly.
So Bart's in his Aston with the paint job that I did. So it's a fantastic paint job. Let's be honest. It's probably the best paint job that you've ever seen in your life.
But you're sitting in ninth, which makes me angry. How dare you drive where he drove?
So he's in the Aston out there, holding out in ninth position at the moment. Comfortable gaps either side of him. Looks like he's had a pit already. 3/4 of the tank of fuel. A little bit of wear on him. I believe Parts is a pad driver. You see that sometimes. It's pretty easy to tell who the pad drivers are by the tyre wear that they sort of chum through. So yeah, Bart's always entertaining to watch. Got fantastic pace on him, Bart's, but sometimes maybe loses a little bit on the consistency. You know, we saw this round 1 where I think he got himself a P2, and then next race he gets himself a P12 or so, and sometimes I think maybe Bart's falls down a little bit on the consistency. So you know, whereas I think, you know, he's got pace to keep up with like Stefan and Rabbit and these guys you kind of regularly see up the top. Dorsey having a great race as well. Currently sees himself up in 4th place. Currently out on the soft tyres, a little bit of wear, just under 3/4 of the tank. So if he goes out and gets himself this top 4, it will be a really good result for him. Stefan's still out there. Looks like Stefan's going with the 1 stop, but now he would have lost a bunch of time to Legion. But the benefit he's got, he's obviously looking like if he goes on to the harder compound here, like a sort of mediums or set of softs, he might not lose the same sort of pace. And if he's 1 stopping it, that's certainly, at least it's an alternative to what Rabbit and Legion are doing, and might just throw a spanner in the works as far as those two are concerned.
That's it. I mean, I think Stefan can risk it a bit more. I mean, I'd go the complete opposite way and play safe and secure, but I think, yeah, trying to throw that spanner in and knowing that everyone's going to stop twice and maybe just pushing yourself a bit slower on a
well, his tyres were absolutely killed by the end of that. I don't know if you saw that, but his tyres were... I mean, he's gone up with the harder compound, so he's out on the soft tyres as opposed to the super soft this time. So they, you know, he's got to make these last, you know, 1 lap more than what he just did. And obviously it's a harder compound, so I'm not going to wear as much, but he's still going to be seeing a similar sort of drop off towards the end of the race. So challenging one there.
He did hold on quite a few laps into that first position until he came in. I mean, Legion was really nipping at his heels as soon as he came in, but it shows that he can drive on the worn tyres. So it is very possible. So
in P8, would you believe it, Edinburgh lad, 1 position better than expected. I really want him to get higher than P9 this race. I think that will be the highlight of the entire season, as far as I'm concerned. Everyone else can
as much as we love to see him sitting in P9, we want to see Edinburgh lad and pretty much every driver doing as best as they can.
Yeah, mate. I want to see him in P7, 6, you know, getting himself up there, because I've raced Edinburgh lad. He's got pace. He's a fast driver, again, and I don't think he suffers the same as... I mean, I sit in here, I feel bad because I'm going, this guy's not consistent, this guy's fast, this guy's fast, and like I come out with these boys, and I come out and do the open lobby stuff, which it's not my strength. I'm not really an arrive and drive kind of driver. I'm someone who needs practice. I need to know the track and know how to feel and get to my optimum speed before I get out there. That's why. But I come out with these boys, and I'm sitting at the back nearly every race. So. Not I'm one to criticise, but when it comes to consistency, I reckon Bart's pretty consistent. Edinburgh lad, he's got a better consistency, but I think that's sometimes what gets him in that P9 every time. That, you know, if you find yourself having a slip or two every race, then you know maybe a little bit more practice of a race ahead of time, and you know, you might perform a bit better. I mean, that's me saying that without no knowledge of how much Edinburgh lad or Bart's or everyone else put into it. They could have practiced for hours, and I could just be slacking them off, and they've put loads of work into it. You know, a slip's a slip, and I've practiced hours and hours and slipped in a race before. But you know, just seeing a pattern repeating over the course of this season, that pattern's been that these guys are faster than what the positions they end up in. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you're kind of going off what you know about these.
Look what's happened. Webson's pulled up to Edinburgh lad, and looks like he's going to be going for the overtake. Where does that leave Edinburgh lad? Al?
Back where he needs to be.
Get in your box.
Where the world is right.
Get in your box.
Yeah, and it looked like whilst we were following these two, Legion has come into pit for the second time.
Right, so Legion's gone in for another one. Now he's gone up to the medium tyres, so he's going for a bit of a longer stint. I imagine he's, again, 2-stop racing, and it looks like we've had a spin there. I just heard that one. Don't know who that was, though. I definitely heard a spin. Did you hear that? Oh, no, I assume you don't, actually. You see that someone just parked off on the side. Going to try and find out who that is. GT Sport's not very good at signifying who's who. But, tap dancing Christ, eh? There we go. It was Math, who unfortunately looks like he had a bit of a spin there at the back. He's just trying to get himself back on track. So that's unfortunate there. I know he decided to sit out for the last race. A bit frustrated, which we've all been there, especially, you know, racing out the back, not wanting to get in people's way. You know, you find yourself spin a few laps in a row, and the next thing you know, you just want to. You feel like you're one spin away from collapsing, holding to your chest, whilst the left side of your body starts to feel numb, and you realise that you're having a stroke.
That's it. Yeah, it's gaining back from a frustration after frustration, and managing to keep your composure, keep your head. That's even. I mean, I know we say it's like it's kind of they're racing for millions of pounds, but even in the most basic of circumstances, at the everyday life, kind of like if you have that constant irritation, managing to keep your cool for the third and fourth time it happens is quite a big ask. So yeah, I think sometimes it does take just a stepping back, taking your foot off the pedal a little bit.
Looks like Webson's going to be coming in for his second pit. It looks like he's almost out of fuel completely, so definitely going to have to come in, and his tyres have been completely eaten. So coming in for a second pit stop. I imagine he might even move up to a harder compound because he's got 9 laps to do after this.
Yeah, I think Webson's been battling quite hard in wherever he found himself this race. I think that hasn't helped on his fuel or his tyre wear, that no matter where he's been in this field, he's had to fight with someone.
So I know Dorsey's really fighting himself for a podium here, but it looks like Stefan's got the edge on him in terms of fuel and tyres. Must be a pit stop ahead of him, so Dorsey's going to have to bow himself out of this one a little bit. But this is a problem for Stefan, because Stefan's going to, for his own, I mean, the season looks like it's relatively in the bag for him, and he could just run pretty chill and still win the season. But for the sake of this individual race, if he wants to get himself up to Legion and stuff, if he feels himself getting slowed down by Dors, who's on tyres that are slipping out, and is probably a couple of attempts behind him in pace, if he finds himself getting held up by Dors, that kind of really brings him out of the fight for the top two.
It's true. I mean, it's a couple of good races for Stefan. Obviously, the benefit of racing one more week than Legion has sat him where he is. But there's always room for improvement, no matter where you come.
Yeah.
So I think Stefan will be, obviously, if things stay as they are, will be absolutely thrilled with the title this season, and should be well deserved. But can look at these little margins that maybe he's dropped a few points here and go, right, let's clean this up.
So Rabbit at the moment about 17 seconds in front of Legion, but obviously Legion being that pit stop ahead. He's got himself on medium tyres, although timing wise there's not really much in it. You look at those last couple of laps, Legion's run 27-24, whereas Rabbit with his sort of pretty worn super softs are still running those 25s pretty consistently. So it looks like this is the time Rabbit's decided to come in for his final pit stop on the end of the 16th lap, and it'll be interesting. Let's jump on board with Legion now and see what the gap is like, as what looks like they'll be coming out. Can't see Legion going in again, surely not. Surely he's going to have the fuel and the tyres to see out this race, and looking pretty safe to go out and win, especially if he's on these mediums. He might be a little bit slower in pace than Rabbit, who'll be coming out on his supers. Looks like possibly even Stefan might have got in front as well.
Is that Math sitting off the track? I think we had a bit of someone off the edge.
Yeah, he's just parked himself off. I think he's not up for racing this race anymore, so he's decided to park himself off and let people just crack on with it, which is fair enough. We don't like to see people rage quit, so when people decided they've had enough and just to save their own mental health, if they're not up for it, just park yourself off or put yourself in the pit lane and await the race out.
I mean, that's fair enough. Every now and then when I scan it, I have to know who's doing what. When I see a car off the track.
So we've got a little scrap going on here for P9, and it looks like Edinburgh Lad sees himself actually go down to 10th position. So is that Kenobi coming up through? Who's lost Kenobi? Lost Edinburgh Lad, his famous P9, or is there someone still yet to pit in this race? Possibly could be Nikki. Nikki, I believe. I don't know whether I was watching whether she was on a 1-stop or a 2-stop, but it looks like it's going to be a 2-stop for her. Just under quarter of a tank left with about 6 laps of fuel. Is going to be a bit of an ask to go out.
Yeah, I mean, she's been yo-yoing up and down this field, this race. I think we've seen her up in kind of 3rd and 5th and I think 7th after that little slip, and then she was down in 10th for a little bit and back up to 5th. So yeah, it's going to be hard to see where she finishes, but yeah, as you said, expecting at least one more pit stop.
Yeah.
And then pushing that finish line just to see how high up she can get.
It depends how far this final pit stop takes her, because it looks like most people now have had their final step shot. I think Stefan maybe might have to. Either that or he's going to have super dead tyres by the end of this. As you can see, Rabbit's already ground back that space. Just due to the tyre difference again. You know, we saw in first race, because it's really interesting to watch the sprint race and then watch this unfold, how much difference the different tyre compounds, the different wears of fuel, and even the different wears on tyre. And the fact of the matter is that also the differences in how much lighter a car gets when the fuel starts to come out of it. You know, if you've got a car with only quarter tank of fuel, although you might have lost the tyres a little bit, you have lost a lot of weight on fuel as well. So in general, get a bit more speed out of it. So all those variables come into play, and that's really what makes, you know, the fun part of endurance racing. That it's not just about that pace for pace, who can go around this track the fastest. It's all about who's kind of got the racing mind to put something together and is going to, you know, find those extra 5 to 10 seconds in a race that no one else will. It looks like Rabbit's going to be making his move now, try and get up into P2, gets that move done, going up into turn 1. Is Stefan going to try and make a move back going on the exit? It's going to be a bit of an ask with, like I said, the difference there in tyre. I think the tyre is really going to be the difference between those two, and it looks like Stefan's going to have to settle for a comfortable P3 with Dorsey just coming out now, himself in a very comfortable P4. Look at that, 23 seconds ahead and 23 seconds behind either side. So outside of something, I don't know what would happen there to make that slip, but gradually improving for this race. Al, I remember when we checked on him earlier, he was sort of a bit further back. Looks like he's got enough in the tank to finish this race out. I believe half a tank. Possibly might have to fuel save a little bit in order to get there, but should have enough there, I think, to get to the end of the race. Kenobi, a lot more comfortable. It can pretty much hammer his car out a little bit more, so it's going to be definitely a good shout for P5 if depending on what happens with Bart's in front, because Bart's going to have to be trying to be a little less aggressive going through corners and stuff, with trying to fuel save and stuff. What's been the standout for you this race? What are you noticing, Al?
You kind of start to see it towards the end, everything even out, and those who've played their cards right, kind of settling in. As you see, sort of Kenobi even sitting in 6th, he's placed himself very well to actually improve towards the end of this race, and Rabbit has done very, very well with his kind of tyre and fuel his pitting manoeuvres. And I think it will sit him quite nicely in 2nd. Stefan, he's risking it. I'll definitely go for he's risking it. And
to do the best he can, but I think I'd be looking at this realistically and going, I have not got the tyres or even the fuel really to, and if he pits, he's going to lose a position to Dawes. I know he's got a comfortable 23 seconds there, but if he starts pitting, he's going to lose a position. You know, you can even see it here. Edinburgh Lad, P11, is actually grinding back on him because of this situation that Stefan now finds himself in, which is extreme fuel saving. To try and make sure he's got enough fuel to last him to the end of the race.
I think about Stefan. I'd try and pit him this lap and just sort of get a bit more fuel in and change those tyres out.
I reckon if he pitted, he'd end up coming up behind Dorsey by about a 10-second gap or so, and that is too much to draw back. I think you'd be better. I mean, he's got a 22-second cushion there, so I'd be doing effectively what you can see he's doing. You probably shouldn't see much going up his rev limiter, because he should be revving up. You see that he's revving up the gears without even letting the limiter go up at all. So he's fuel saving to hell. That's why he's lost so much pace. but is he going to lose 22 seconds in the next, over the course of the next 3 laps? I don't think he will. I think he'll lose, you know, could possibly grind down to about 10 seconds or so, but I reckon what he's doing is probably the right thing. If you go into pit now, you'll almost certainly will lose 3rd place.
But what would be weighing on my mind, as Stefan would be, as the tyre wear comes in, there's the increased chance of just a spin out on one of the corners. You take it just slightly off, and you kind of ended up backwards, which Dorsey can then even close down the gap regardless. And I think, I would push my mind out of this race and just kind of look to the overall picture.
So I think Bart's looks like he might have had to pit, because I think he was a bit higher than this last time we checked, or whether that he slipped. I think he was on about half a tank then, so it's been a couple of laps since, so I think he has slapped in a little bit more fuel. Likewise for Nicky as well, looking a bit healthier on the fuel there as well, and moved from the medium tyres to the soft tyres as well. Webson's, he's actually sitting in Edinburgh Lad's place. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Not sure if that's even allowed. I'm not sure.
It's about time the curse is broken.
But Edinburgh Lad's going to have a bit of an arse to try and get himself into his normal place, so he's looking at might have to settle for P10 going into this for this final race, but you can't argue about his consistency in terms of end light result, so fair play to him.
That's it. I think we've got just sort of a few drivers now kind of settling into where they are and going, right, this is most likely where I'm going to end up the end of the race, so just push myself to my edge, but not try to.
Kenobi looks like had a slip as well, because last time I checked in Kenobi, him and Ash were fighting for P5, and now he looks like he slipped off and actually slapped himself right in the middle of this little scrap, now enveloping probably the closest pack we've got in this race at the moment between Bart's, Kenobi and Nicky. Bart's run himself a little bit wide there, but I think he's got the tyre advantage over Kenobi, so Kenobi's going to be a bit of an ask for Kenobi, who's on medium compound and they're more worn. Bit of an ask for Kenobi to hold on to P7, but I'm sure he's going to. I know what Kenobi's like. He's an elbows out driver, and looks like Nicky dropped off there as well. Must have had a really bad exit. Found herself slipping off.
Yeah, seemed to almost just sort of pull over to the side of the track and let the other two come past. Yeah, like you said, must have been a bad exit, or just lost some pace in some aspect. But the pack is still kept together, so she's still got a good chance of getting back up to 6th.
Definitely. So Ash, I think he'll be pretty happy with his P5. Especially like I said, sometimes he does sort of limit himself by the fact he, automatic pad driver, hard to fuel save, hard to tyre save, but done himself really well here to hold on to his P5. I think outside a slip, and Bart's coming back up on him. Looks like Bart's now got that move done on Kenobi. Kenobi now under threat from Nicky Barron as well. Again, with that slight tyre advantage, might be a bit of a tough ask for Kenobi to hold out for the end of this race. And might be seeing himself down to P7. Down to P8. Webson's and it looks like Edinburgh Lad's actually had another slip as well, seeing himself a bit further back. I don't know if that's a slip or no, definitely a slip. It hasn't refueled or anything like that. So another slip there from them. Sees him drop back down to 11th place. So unfortunate to see. Red now coming up behind Stefan. It must be really confusing for these drivers to be coming back past someone who's lapped them not too long ago. That would be a really good experience, because the general racing etiquette is kind of try and give as much room as you can for someone coming past you to lap you. So I'd be sitting there going, do I try and overtake? Like, is that even allowed? You know what I mean? But we look like we're in the final lap now as Legion comes over, pulled himself out a really good strut there after what was an early threat from Rabid. Sees himself first place, another confirmed first place. Rabid get himself second place. Stefan now coming alone over third. It looks like Red confirmed himself his 10th place as well, as we saw. Dorsey done himself a really good race here. Looks like he managed his fuel really well there. If you can see that at the gauge on the bottom left there, Al. Barely any fuel left. That's what you want to see. The guys you see coming fuel with barely any fuel left over the line with barely any fuel left at the end of the race are the ones that have managed it the best. Ash just under quarter of a tank. Again, should be pleased with his race there to get himself a P5. Endurance racing is its own art, and I think unless there's another twist of the tail here as he runs himself a little wide, but I don't think there's enough of the track left for Bart's to be able to grab advantage on that. He's going to lose a couple of seconds, but certainly not enough, as I think think he's either trying to kill his tyres a little more or trying to warm them up. Not sure about that one. Looks
He's
like
just giving the camera a wave.
Yeah, giving us a wave on stream. All the way from
How an airplane dips his wings.
Bart's coming over. Looks like we've got a bit of a dash for the final position. 7th, 8th. It looks like Nicky goes away and takes it. Kenobi. Looks like he's our final person to cross the line over here for a P9. And then we just have, I believe, Math sitting in a bush. So yeah, that's the end of the race, end of the season. Al?
I mean, yeah, it's flown by this season, and I think
it's been a short season on purpose. It's been a relatively short season. Next season's going to be a much longer season that will obviously be following the drivers through a lot more, and possibly even have 2 tiers of racing going on, providing if we can get enough numbers of people interested to take part. Which again reminds me, if you are interested in taking part, we've got a Discord link in the description. Click it, and someone will send you a picture of something rude. I'm sure. But that is the results confirmed. So congratulations again to Mr. Legion for taking another win for this season, and all the other drivers and all drivers who have taken part in this season as well. I think there's been some really good driving. It's really encouraging to see. I'm gonna
Yeah, I mean, it's Legion has done what Legion's done pretty much every time he's come in, barring 1 or 2 kind of little slips, and dominated the races again. But I don't think we need a calculator to say well done to Stefan for securing that win. And I'm assuming Rabid's very, very well placed P2. They pushed him into P2 for the season as well. Which, yeah, huge congratulations there for Rabid. Some great driving all around, and I mean, yeah, everyone this season has done amazingly. Some great driving, great improvements as well. I mean, I'd have to watch all of them.
Before you get into the season, tell me your thoughts about the race, because I'm going to need you to do your thing, a gift of the gab for me. So, give me your thoughts about the race.
Break it down for you. I thought there was a lot more improvement. Again, from all the drivers on their endurance. Legion, we had a few questions at the beginning whether we thought he was making the right manoeuvres and whether he'd 1 stop or 2 stop. But at the end of the day, he proved his tactics, his strategy. He stuck by him. He's came out as a worthy winner. Rabid never gave up. Stuck right to the wheel of Legion. Had a good battle in the early stages. So I think he probably was my driver of the race. Some great driving and played his tactic to perfection. Stefan had a few wobbles at the beginning, but managed to secure his P3. Dawes with a fantastic race, basically just living life on his own in P4 with a good gap either side of him.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I think he'd be pleased with that result. I would be if I was in Dawes' shoes and got that result in. But he always finds himself in just sort of kind of not necessarily no man's land, but he's just like he always finds himself in that place where he's pretty comfortable, not really having to push himself from front or behind. So, not a bad place to like to be in. It makes a nice, relaxing season, but sometimes it is nice to find people that you're well matched with in pace and trading places like every lap.
Yeah, it's always nice to kind of have that adrenaline and that edge of the race. But I think for an endurance race, it's quite nice just to find yourself in that gap, because then you can really watch your tires or watch your fuel. And kind of almost, if you're learning your tactics and your endurance, it gives you that leeway to play around a little bit, to focus on, all right, I'm on this corner on this much tyre wear, how much am I going to be the next lap? Yeah. Instead of having to look behind you, going, right, I need to cut off this opening, cut off this turn, and before you know it, your tyres are gone. Yeah. So yeah, there's pros and cons to everything, but I mean, I'd quite like to sit in those gaps, but it's each to their own, and I think only Dawsey will be able to tell us whether he likes sitting in those comfortable gaps or would rather be in the thick of it, no matter where it is.
Right. So who's your driver of the race then? Who's that going to?
I think for this one, I would have to say Rabid.
Yeah.
Yeah, played. Gave a good effort to cut down Legion in the early stages, and was trading places with them with their pit stop tactics. and I think played his own tactic to perfection, and a well-deserved second place.
Right, so we're going to flip over now to the standings and hope that I've done this right. And let's just have a look at the standings. So we can confirm the race 2 results. So Legion got his first position, Rabbit got second, Stefan got third, Dawes 4th, Ash 5th, Bart 6th, Nicky Barron 7th, Webston's 8th, Kenobi 9th, Red 10th, Enabelad 11th, Steedy 12th, Math 13th, and for some reason it says Drifty Boy. Which obviously wasn't Drifty Boy, it's supposed to be Assassin Zablaza, supposed to say on that last one there. So let me just quickly correct that and look at this like magic. It will magically change over to Assassin Zablaza, and yeah, he gets himself into 14th position. That will also slightly adjust the points, so apologies for these corrections on the fly, but obviously now it's nice, especially when we're in the last race of the season, to give over the correct points so we all know where we stand. So let me just pop that into the points. That's been corrected. That's been Assassin's of Laza. It should be corrected. So as we have a little look through now then. Actually it didn't even change. I thought it changed, but it hadn't. He actually gets 37 points, not 34 points. So let me just quickly make sure we've got the right results up. 34, 37. There we go. Updated. So it doesn't change his position anyway, but it's nice to know things are correct. So let's confirm the results for the first season of our league racing here at ZFS, and we have Stefan as our first champion, so congratulations to him. What a season we saw him race out. Then we got Rabbit in second position, so really good from him. He's looking like one of the favourites at the start of the season. Probably be a little bit disappointed not to come away with the win, but it was a big ask from him in the last round. Webston's doing really well, get himself third place. So those are our top 3 drivers, so they get the gold, silver and bronze in the Discord. They got Legion, obviously probably would have been our gold place if he'd been here for all the rounds, but he sees himself in 4th place. So actually done really well to get himself in 4th, even though he didn't. He only raced in three of the rounds. Kenobi in 5th, Dawsey in 6th. Then we've got Bart's in joint 7th place with Ash. You got Edinburgh Lad. Where do we think Edinburgh Lad has finished, Al? Where do we think? In 9th place. He's got himself 9th place. DJ in 10th. Math in 11th. Steedy in 12th. Assassin Plaza in 13th. Zeno in 14th. Red for Zion in 15th. And Nicky, who just joined us for this last round, actually crawled in to 16th place with 22 points. And that is how that season went, Al.
It's been a real roller coaster of a season. I think you could probably pick
a lot of emotions. That's what it has been.
It has been. I mean, I've been up and down all the time. You probably could have picked a few people where you think they'd be placing, and you would have kind of roughly got a look of this leaderboard. But huge congratulations to Stefan. And yeah, I think Rabbit definitely something he's going to try and close that gap next time, and really push for that P1. Legion. It's incredible that he came 4th, considering he missed out the entire first week.
Yeah, no, really lucky not to get. He's only 3 points off from getting himself on the podium, so really well done from him as well. Really well done. But yeah, I suppose that brings us to the end of our stream, and I suppose it really leaves us to say what's going on next at ZFS. Like I said, we've got races going on, league racing now happening on Monday, which is a team thing, Wednesday, which is our group 3 thing, and Fridays, which is a sprint thing. We've got a one make series which starts on Thursday, starting up soon. The commentary is going to continue on these Wednesdays for what's going to be our main 10 round season, where someone's going to win themselves an engraved trophy, actual silverware people are going to be trying to race for next season. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes along, whether people will be happy to share their home address with us. We'll soon see what kind of trust we've built. It'll be fantastic. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a 10 round season out to 10 weeks of racing, so we'll be here to cover it and bring it all to you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in. And Al, massive thank you to you as well, man. Taking time out of your what I assume is very busy life to come and help us out with giving us your thoughts, mate. Really appreciate it.
I'm always happy to turn up to these things. It's great fun to watch these drivers do their thing, and I mean it's an incredibly lovely bunch.
And it's pronounced doing your ting, I think is how it's pronounced now.
doing my thing and watching them doing their things. And yeah, I mean, there's such a lovely bunch that you've got here in ZFS. So it's a pleasure, always a privilege to come and watch these guys do their thing.
That's it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for everyone for tuning in and watching again on the usual stuff people ask you to do on YouTube. You know, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Join in the Discord if you want to take part in races, and keep well and keep safe, and make sure that you don't. I was going to give some really big, a life-affirming tip that I don't know, Al. But have you got any big life-affirming tip to leave the crew on?
Always brush your teeth.
Always brush your teeth. And on that note, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys